We were discussing chapter number 9, biomolecules. In this chapter till now we have discussed many types of biomolecules, including the small molecules, that is biomicromolecules, and we have discussed the one macromolecule, that is a protein, that is a biomicromolecule. Now student, today we have to learn another biomicromolecule, that is a large size molecule that you can find in a living organism, and the name of this biomicromolecule is polysaccharide. So let's learn what is a polysaccharide and what are the different examples of polysaccharide. So starting with polysaccharide. Okay, so here I am starting with polysaccharide. What is a polysaccharide? Poly means you know that many, and the saccharide means a sugar. It is a type of carbohydrate and that contains many units of carbohydrates or many units of monosaccharides. They join together and it forms a polysaccharide. These many units, they join or link by a glycosidic bond. This is called as polysaccharide. So what is a polysaccharide? Polysaccharide is a type of carbohydrate. Okay, this is the first thing. It is a type of carbohydrate. Second thing is that it contains many units of what? It contains many units of sugar. Okay, linked by which bond? Glycosidic bond. Remember, they are connected by a glycosidic bond. Okay, so this is a glycosidic bond which connects many units of polysaccharide. You know the basic characteristic of this polysaccharide. Polysaccharide usually they are not sweet in taste, they are not soluble in water, they can be hydrolyzed because this is a polyform and it cannot cross a plasma membrane because it is a larger in size. So these are the characteristics of a polysaccharide what we have already learned while discussing the different types of a carbohydrate. Now today we have to learn the different units or different examples of this polysaccharide. So if you see this polysaccharide, the polysaccharides can be classified into two types. How many types? Two types. Polysaccharide. They are going to be classified into two types. First is called as homopolysaccharide and the second one I am writing over here, it's called as heteropolysaccharide. There are two types, homopolysaccharide and heteropolysaccharide. All of you know that the polysaccharide that contains many units of a monosaccharide or the sugar. But if all the units they are present in the sugar are same, then it is called as homopolysaccharide. And if they are different, then this is called as heteropolysaccharide. Clear? If all the units are same, then it is called as homopolysaccharide. If all the units are not same or the different units are present, then this is called as heteropolysaccharide. Let's see the examples of homopolysaccharide. Which are the examples of homopolysaccharide? The examples of homopolysaccharides are starch, cellulose, glycogen. Okay, these are the few examples of homopolysaccharide. Here all these three contains starch, cellulose and glycogen. They are the polymers and they contains glucose. What they contain? Glucose. They contain a different units of glucose or they are connected, joined together by a different kind of a linkage, and this leads to a formation of homopolysaccharides like starch, cellulose and glycogen. Remember, the starch is a stored form of a sugar in plant. What is a starch? It is a stored sugar in plants. And what is a glycogen? The glycogen is stored sugar in animal. Clear? So this is a starch. Starch is a store form of a sugar in case of a plant, the glycogen is a stored form of a sugar in case of an animal. Okay, so these are the stored form. Cellulose, the cellulose is also a homopolymer. It is a homopolymer of glucose. Many units of glucose they combine together and it forms cellulose. Okay, this cellulose is one of the constituent of plant cell wall. You already know that the plant cell wall is made up of cellulose. So the cellulose is a constituent of a cell wall in a plant. Apart from that, from this cellulose, you can also able to make the papers. Paper can also be formed from this cellulose. Okay, cellulose fibers. It is a long chain. When the long chains are formed, a thread-like structures are going to be formed in case of starch, cellulose and glycogen. Okay. Now, how would you differentiate the starch? Starch, cellulose and glycogen all are the homopolymer of glucose. How would you differentiate? So, this is a chemical taste for a starch. Okay. How would you differentiate? So, if it is a starch and if you add the dilute iodine solution, it gives blue color. This is an identification technique by which you can identify whether it's a starch or it's a cellulose. Okay, how would you identify when if it has a starch and if you add the dilute iodine solution, it gives a blue color. If it produces a blue color, it indicates it's a starch. Cellulose with dilute iodine cannot produce a blue color, and thus you can differentiate between the starch and cellulose by a chemical taste. Okay, it is a kind of a chemical taste, starch plus dilute iodine solution, which makes the solution blue color, because in a starch the different helices are present to which the iodine molecule can combine and it forms starch iodine complex, and the color of starch iodine complex is a blue color, so that's why it provides a blue color. That is not possible with the case of cellulose, because the cellulose do not have a helices or helix. Okay, so that's why the cellulose or the iodine cannot combine with the helices present in the cellulose and doesn't give a blue color. Okay, so this is a chemical test by which you can identify whether it's a starch or cellulose. But one thing you have to remember, the starch is a stored form of a sugar in plant, the glycogen is a stored form of a sugar in animal. I will also tell you one more example which comes under the homopolysaccharide, and the example is inulin. Inulin is also example of a homopolysaccharide, means it also contains the same units, but it contains the same units of what? It contains the same unit of fructose. Clear? It contains the same unit of fructose. What we call it as inulin. What we call it as inulin. Clear? So starch, cellulose, glycogen and inulin, they are homopolysaccharide. Starch, cellulose and glycogen, they are made up of glucose, many units of glucose. Inulin is made up of fructose. Now if we see the structure of a starch, in a starch you can find out the two kind of arrangement. There is a linear arrangement, linear, straight arrangement, and there is also branched arrangement, branched. Linear and the branched, or you can also say that unbranched and the branched. Like I will tell you with a schematic diagram, I will show you over here. Okay, suppose if there is a structure of a starch. So in the structure of a starch, assume that this is a glucose molecule. This is a glucose molecule, one glucose, second, third, fourth, and so on, many units. Now from that, one branch is going to be formed. I am showing like this. One branch is going to be formed. This is also a glucose molecule. Okay, such branch is going to be formed. Such kind of a structure is going to be found. The circle over here I indicates that it's a glucose molecule. Okay, I am just writing down in the circle, it's a G, glucose. Okay, so you can come to know that it's a glucose molecule, because the starch is a polymer of glucose, many units are combined, but they can be arranged in a two way. One is a linear arrangement, and apart from that it also has a branched arrangement. Okay, this one is also called as unbranched and this is called as branched. The linear arrangement of a starch, linear arrangement, or the unbranched arrangement of a starch, we are calling it as amylose. Remember what we are calling it as? Amylose. And the branched arrangement, this is a branch arrangement, we are calling it as amylopectin. What we are calling it as? Amylopectin. Clear? So in the molecule of a starch, there are two types of a chain, amylose and amylopectin. Amylose is a linear arrangement, amylopectin is a branched arrangement. What you can find in the structure of a starch. Clear? So that is about a homopolysaccharide. Now let's discuss regarding the heteropolysaccharide. You know the meaning of hetero? Hetero, that means different. So they contains the different units of a sugar. So which are the different units of sugar you can find in a heteropolysaccharide? And which are the examples? Usually these are the complex type of a sugar. Okay, like for an example, I am telling you the example of heteropolysaccharide. So first one is glucosamine. This is an example of a heteropolysaccharide. Okay, another one is N-acetyl galactosamine. Okay, so this is also another example. Okay, even you know that the exoskeleton of arthropoda means like cockroaches or the spider or the scorpion, these animals which comes under the arthropoda, phylum arthropoda, that we will learn in the chapter number 4. But you just remember the arthropoda means in short you can call them as an insect. Okay, generally we are calling them an insect, but we are categorizing them as an arthropoda. One of the characteristics of arthropoda is that they have an exoskeleton, and this exoskeleton is made up of chitin. It's made up of chitin. So this chitin is also a heteropolysaccharide. It is a complex type of a sugar. So see the examples: glucosamine, N-acetyl galactosamine, and the chitin. They are the examples of heteropolysaccharide. Chitin is found in the exoskeleton of an arthropoda. Okay, even if you know that we have learned in the chapter number 8, the fungal cell wall is also made up of chitin. That chitin is what? The chitin is polysaccharide. And which kind of polysaccharide it is? Heteropolysaccharide. Clear? So this is regarding the polysaccharide. What we are calling it as polysaccharide. This is a large molecule, so that's why we are calling it as macromolecule. Okay, clear? So that's all about it, polysaccharide. Okay. Now we are moving ahead. We also have to discuss the structure of the nucleic acid, because the nucleic acid is also a large molecule. We have seen some of the chemistry and the properties of nucleic acid, but today we have to see a structure of specific nucleic acid, that is DNA. Okay, so let's see the structure of DNA. Before I start the structure of DNA, I just revise the nucleic acid what we have learned. Okay, so let's see what is nucleic acid, and then we will discuss what is a DNA or how the structure of DNA is. You know the two main examples of nucleic acid, DNA and RNA. The full form of DNA, you know it. It is deoxyribonucleic acid, and the full form of RNA you also know it. It is ribonucleic acid. Okay, so they are the nucleic acid, DNA and the RNA, they are the nucleic acids. But these nucleic acids, they are the polymer of nucleotides. Okay, what are the nucleic acids? They are polymer of nucleotide. And what is a nucleotide? The nucleotide is a combination of, what? Nitrogenous base, pentose sugar, and phosphate. These are the three moieties: nitrogenous base, pentose sugar, and the phosphate. They join together, they leads to a formation of nucleotide. Okay, even the nucleotide, it's a this nitrogenous base and the pentose sugar, you can also call it as nucleoside. So nucleotide in another language you can also call it as nucleoside plus phosphate. This is the another language. So where many nucleotide, this is a one nucleotide. One nucleotide contains nitrogenous base, pentose sugar and the phosphate. This is a one nucleotide. Many nucleotides join together by 3' 5' phosphodiester bond, and they leads to a formation of nucleic acid. Because the nucleic acid is a polymer of nucleotide, means many nucleotide join or link, and they leads to a formation of nucleic acid like DNA and the RNA. From this DNA and the RNA, we have to learn regarding the structure of DNA, that is a deoxyribonucleic acid. So let's start with the structure of DNA. You know that what is the full form of DNA? The DNA can be called as deoxyribonucleic acid. This is the structure of DNA. Deoxyribonucleic acid. Okay. Now let's see who has discovered this structure of DNA. The structure of DNA that was discovered by, you have to remember these two scientists, Watson and the Crick. Okay, these two scientists has discovered the structure of the DNA, and that's why for that they won the Nobel Prize, because it is a significant discovery in the biology. Okay, due to that we are able to solve the many mysteries which are related with it. So the Watson and Crick, these are the two scientists who has discovered the structure of DNA. Okay, according to this structure, the structure which was proposed by the Watson and Crick, what kind of arrangement you can find in the structure of DNA? So let's see. The DNA, it consists of two polynucleotide chain. Remember, how many nucleotide chains are there? You know that the nucleic acid is a polymer of nucleotide. Okay, so you can also call it as polynucleotide, like polysaccharide. Okay, similarly you can also call it as polynucleotide. So how many polynucleotide chains are present in the structure of DNA? There are two polynucleotide chains are present in the structure of DNA. So let's see. This is the first chain. This is the first chain of what you can find in the structure of DNA. Okay, and this is the second chain, what you can find in the structure of DNA. This is the second chain. Okay, clear? How many chains are present in the structure of DNA? There are two chains which are present in the structure of DNA. The DNA consists of two polynucleotide chains. Okay, so I'm just listing out the points over here. So it contains, or it's made up of two polynucleotide chain. Okay, this polynucleotide chain, they are running in opposite direction. They are running in opposite direction. Let's say this is my hand and this is my another hand. Just wait. This is my one hand. This is, assume that this is a one polynucleotide chain, and assume that this is a second polynucleotide chain. Now here, both the hands are parallel, means both the chains are parallel. But such kind of arrangement you cannot find in the structure of DNA. Instead of that, you can find the another arrangement, that means opposite arrangement, like such kind of arrangement. You know that it contains the two chains, but they are not arranged parallelly. They are arranged anti-parallel to each other. They are arranged anti-parallel to each other. Okay, clear? So this is called as anti-parallel. Means on one side I have a finger, on the another side I have a palm, on the another chain it has a palm. So such kind of arrangement you can find. So see, let's see. So if you see over here, then it just make you easy for you. So it will be easy for you. Okay. So such kind of arrangement is formed. So which kind of arrangement? Let's see. So one end, this is a green color that is running from 5' to 3'. So the another one that is running from 3' to 5' end. That means they are anti-parallel to each other. I again repeat, how many nucleotide chains are present in the structure of DNA? Two polynucleotide chains are present in the structure of DNA. Okay. So and they are arranged anti-parallel to each other. Okay, they are arranged anti-parallel to each other. Anti-parallel means one chain is running from 5' to 3', another chain is running from 3' to 5'. So there is an anti-parallel arrangement. Even they are not straight, they are twisting around each other. You can see they are twisting around each other. Okay, so they are twisted around each other and form a helix like structure, and they are twisting around a single axis. This is a single axis on which they are twisting. It is not twisting like this. This such kind of twisting you cannot find. They are twisting around single axis. The axis remains the same. This is an axis which remains the same. Okay, so they are twisted around a single axis. Okay, so they form a helical structure. Okay, so in simple language you can say that. Simple language you can say that the DNA, that's a deoxyribonucleic acid. It is a polynucleotide chain. How many? 2, which are arranged anti-parallel to each other and twisted around each other on a single axis. Or in other term you can say that it is a double helical structure. Double helical, 2 helix. It is a double helical structure. And this structure was proposed by the Watson and Crick. Okay. Now, what it contains, you know that it contains a nitrogenous base. The sugar and phosphate, they are present outside. So assume that these are the nitrogenous bases. You know that which nitrogenous base is present in DNA. Purine and pyrimidine, both you can find in the structure of DNA. A, G, C and T. Uracil is not present in the structure of DNA. So we will only discuss these 4 bases that you can find in the structure of DNA. A, G, C, T, 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 G, C. Such kind of arrangement you can see. Such kind of arrangement you can see. Okay. So always remember the A combines with A, adenine base combines with T. That means a thymine with 2 hydrogen bond. G combines with C, cytosine, always it remains same. G combines with guanine, combines with cytosine with 3 hydrogen bands. Similarly, vice versa, C combines with G by 3 hydrogen bond and T combines with A by 2 hydrogen bond. Now you can tell me, T combines with A with 2 hydrogen bond, T combines with A 2 hydrogen bond, G combines with C with 3 hydrogen bond, C combines with G with 3 hydrogen bond. Okay, remember adenine A is always joined with T. Okay, these 2 strands or 2 chains, they are linked together by a bond. Okay, so on a one chain there is a adenine nucleotide base or the nitrogenous base. They always join with thymine, which is present on the another chain. Similarly, the G always combines with C and they join by a bond. This is a bond, and which bond it is? Hydrogen bond. A and T always combine with 2 hydrogen bond. G and C, they always combine with 3 hydrogen bond, and the vice versa. Vice versa means C also combines with G with 3 hydrogen bond and T combines with A with 2 hydrogen bonds. So such kind of arrangement you can find in the structure of DNA, which was proposed by Watson and Crick. So always remember that the A combines with T or vice versa. That means T combines with A with 2 hydrogen bonds. The another thing is C combines with G or the G combines with C with 3 hydrogen bonds. Okay, and you know the full form of A, T, G, C. A means adenine, T means thymine, G means guanine and C means cytosine. Even you can also bifurcate that which are the purine nitrogenous bases and which are the pyrimidine nitrogenous bases. Now if you see that this is a length of one helix. See, it will start from here. Again it will form again one helix because here the same kind of arrangement. So this is a one helix. The length of one helix is 34 angstrom. How much? 34 angstrom. This is a length. The width, this is a width. You can see this is a width. The width of this DNA molecule is 20 angstrom. Remember, the length of one helix is 34 angstrom and the width of this DNA structure is 20 angstrom. You are also able to convert it into a nanometer. You might have studied into a physics conversion, different unit conversion. Okay, how much angstrom is equal to how much nanometer? That you know the factor which is converting the angstrom to a nanometer. Okay, that we will discuss in the meeting. Okay, but you have to remember that the length of one helix is 34 angstrom and the width of this DNA molecule is 20 angstrom. Okay, in a one helix, how many nitrogenous bases are present? Then there are total 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth is over here. It is twist. So due to a twisting, we are not able to see it and we cannot able to show you. So this is the position. This is the position where you can find the fifth one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Similarly, in a one helix, how many nitrogenous base pair? This is base pair. Okay, so it is in a pair. So how many nitrogenous base pair are present? 10 nitrogenous base pairs are present. So the distance between two subsequent nitrogenous base pair is 3.4 angstrom. 34 divided by 10. Okay, I can repeat. The length of one DNA helix is 34 angstrom. In a one helix, how many nitrogenous base pair are present? 10 nitrogenous base pairs are present. So the 34 divided by 10, this is the distance between two subsequent base pair. Any subsequent base pair, any. The distance between any subsequent base pair is 3.4 angstrom. Okay, clear? Now apart from that, you should also know that there is a formation of angle. It is not straight like this. It is an angle. See, this is an angle which is going to be formed. So what is the angle that is going to be formed between the subsequent nitrogenous base pair? So here the angle which is going to be formed is 36 degree. Okay, 36 into 10, because here you know that 10 nitrogenous base pairs are present in one helix. So 36 into 10, 360 degree. 360 degree means whole circle is over and again the same start. Okay, here you can see again the same start. Okay, both have the same position because the angle between two subsequent base pair is 36 degree. Okay, and the total angle it forms 36 into 10, 360, and the whole circle is going to be formed. So this is about the structure of DNA. I again repeat, what is the structure of DNA? DNA is called as deoxyribonucleic acid. This structure was proposed by scientists Watson and Crick. Okay, and for that they won a Nobel Prize. Nobel Prize is the highest prize in the science. Okay, very good prize money is that. Okay. Here the two polynucleotide chains are present too. Both are running anti-parallel. That means one is running from 5' to 3', another running from 3' to 5'. Okay, and they are twisted around each other like this, twisted around each other. Okay, on a single axis. In the structure of DNA, A always combines with T, G always combines with C, C combines with G, and T combines with E. A and T or T and A, they combine with 2 hydrogen bond. G and C or C and G, they combine with 3 hydrogen bond. The length of one helix is 34 angstrom. In a one helix, 10 nucleotide base pairs are present. 1 pair, 2 pair, 3 pair, 4 pair, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, total 10 pairs. Okay, so the distance between two subsequent base pair is 3.4 angstrom. The width of DNA molecule is 20 angstrom. The angle between two subsequent base pair is 36 degree. This is the angle between two subsequent base pair. Okay. This structure can also be called as model B. This is a famous one as a model B to remember. Clear? So this is a model B structure of nucleic acid. Okay. So students, today we have learned regarding the two important bio-macromolecule, large size molecules. One is polysaccharide and the second one is a nucleic acid. The structure of DNA is very much important. Based on this, full chapters will be asked in the 12th standard. So you should know the basic structure of DNA, that is deoxyribonucleic acid, which is a type of nucleic acid. Okay, so that's all about it for today. Students, please learn it, keep learning, keep watching. like and subscribe this channel. Thank you for watching.